Welcome to Vineyard Church Dungannon, where we're walking together deeper into faith. The following message was given at one of our Sunday gatherings. For more information, visit vineyarddungannon.co.uk.
So folks, I'm going to continue on our theme over this last while with Vineyard Values 8, which is generosity. You know, I thought we could start off with a few thoughts on generosity to get us going. What is generosity? How does it affect us? How does it affect others? And indeed, how does it affect the world around us? And I found a few quotes on generosity. On the act of giving, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. Jim Rohn, American entrepreneur, author, and motivational speaker. No one has ever become poor by giving, and that's attributed to Anne Frank. Do all the good you can by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can. John Wesley, the founder of the Methodist movement. So then on the nature of true generosity, real generosity towards the future lies in giving all to the present. Albert Camus, the recipient of the 1957 Nobel Prize in Literature. Generosity with strings is not generosity, it's a deal. And then on the benefits of giving, the value of a man should be seen in what he gives and not what he is able to receive. Albert Einstein. I have found that among its other benefits, giving liberates the soul of the giver. Maya Angelou, American poet and civil rights activist. And then lastly, for it is in giving that we receive. St. Francis of Assisi. I really like lots of those. They're quite inspiring too, aren't they? But what does the Bible say or point to when we speak of generosity? Who are we to be generous to? Deuteronomy 10:18, he defends the cause of the fatherless and the widow and loves the foreigner residing among you, giving them food and clothing. Isaiah 58:6-7. I'm having technical difficulties, guys. Just bear with me. Is it not this kind of fasting I have chosen? To loose the chains of injustice and untie the cords of the yoke, to set the oppressed free and break every yoke? Is it not to share your food with the hungry and to provide for the poor wanderer with shelter? When you see the naked, to clothe them and not turn away from your own flesh and blood? Repeatedly, the scriptures point us to the least and the lost, those in the margins, those who society generally steps away from. The Old Testament, it refers to the fatherless, the widow, the foreigner in the land. These people were all seen in the context of the time as unimportant, dirty, unworthy of help, and they were often cast aside, relying on the generosity of people or scraps from tables to survive. The New Testament not only affirms the actions of the Old Testament, but pushes further and calls for more. James 1:27, religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after the orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. Luke 14:13-14. But when you give a banquet, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, the blind, and you will be blessed. Although they cannot repay you, you will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. Romans 12:13, share with the Lord's people who are in need, practice hospitality. Who remembers the community groups where you went and you sat around a table and you had a meal together? I loved those. I know you guys still do it on a Monday night. I'm bucking the trend, but I loved those. Spending time with people is probably one of the most important things that you can do. 1 John 17, if anyone has material possession and sees a brother or sister in need but has no pity on them, How can he have love of God being that person? They all tell to be generous and provide for the least and the lost, as in the Old Testament. But go on to speak of the Lord's people, and Jesus himself spoke of our neighbours. Where are the Lord's people? We are the Lord's people. We, the body of the church. We are his people. Does that make sense? But who is our neighbour? In the New Testament context, it isn't Pam from up the street, or Val next door, or Rodney down the road, who's always ranting and raving about the price of cement. Though they are our neighbours, the New Testament is referring to everyone as our neighbour. Mark 12:28-31, the greatest commandment. One of the teachers of the law came and heard them debating. Noticing that Jesus had given them a good answer, he asked him, of course, all the commandments, which is the most important? The most important one, answered Jesus, is this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second is like it: love your neighbour as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. You can go on and look at the parable of the Good Samaritan. I'll not read it, but please go and read through and refresh yourself. Luke 10:25-37. The injured Jewish man was left to succumb by the side of the road to his injuries and left by those on the same side. By his people, they simply came to him and crossed the road from the man lying there. They walked away from him and walked away from any effort, having to put any effort into helping him, and just left him lying. It was only through the compassion and the generosity of the Samaritan man, the injured person's historic enemy, that he got up, got the help he needed to survive. I always wondered what the tension was there, but it's religious, cultural, political. Does it remind you of anywhere? The only way to get across that is compassion and generosity. That is the true heart of generosity. The Samaritan knew he'd never receive anything back, and he probably didn't even expect a thank you, because this was his enemy. These were the people that they fought with constantly and stayed away from. He was the one that gave him the help that he needed to survive. He was the one the Jewish man had to rely on for his help and provision. Back to wellness. We, like the Good Samaritan, are to share without expecting anything in return, this side of heaven at least. Not even a thank you, because that's the Father's heart. All good things come from God. We can agree on that. And as such, all we have is a gift from God. A gift that we are to hold loosely and give away at every possibility. We are merely custodians of the gifts of God that he has given to us, not the owners. Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as ever you can. That's why we were spoken about this morning about VCD and how it's poured its generosity through the food bank. Over the past 20-something years, it's been the vehicle through which we have lavished the gifts of God, which he has given to us, to share with those around us here in Dungannon. Sharing with the least and the lost, those in the margins, the prisoner, the orphan, building into our community here in Dungannon, and also in places like India and Kelly, just as God intended us to do. This is the Father's heart and his call to each of us. Our main scriptures this morning are 1 Corinthians 16, 1-4, and 2 Corinthians 9. Lynn, come up, please. Linda, Mike. that on? Be it on?
1 Corinthians, oh, am I now? 16, 1-4 from the Message. Coming to see you. Regarding the relief offering for the poor Christians that is being collected, you get the same instructions I gave the churches in Galatia. Every Sunday, each of you make an offering and put it in safekeeping. Be as generous as you can. When I get there, you'll have it ready, and I won't have to make a special appeal. Then after I arrive, I'll write letters authorizing whomever you delegate and send them off to Jerusalem to deliver your gift. If you think it best that I go along, I'll be glad to travel with them.
Thank you, Lynn. That's a hard thing, isn't it? This collection was to be sent to the Jewish Christians in Jerusalem, the poor and the hungry. In practical terms, this passage shows us to give and give generously towards the cost of supporting those in need and those in the family of Christ. It speaks of doing it in a way that has been prepared to give as a normal thing, and it's not out of the ordinary. It's a similar message in 2 Corinthians 9, where they're to be prepared to give, so it is from a generous heart and not from a position of giving because they must. In fact, the stories of their preparedness and generosity encouraged other churches to give generously. Is it? Yeah.
2 Corinthians 9, 1-5. There is no need for me to write to you about this service to the Lord's people, for I know your eagerness to help, and I have been boasting about it to the Macedonians, telling them that since last year you and Achaia were ready to give, and your enthusiasm has stirred most of them to action. But I am sending the brothers in order that our boasting about you in this matter should not prove hollow, but that you may be ready, as I said you would be. For if any Macedonians come with me and find you unprepared, not to say anything about you, would be ashamed of having been so confident. So I thought it necessary to urge the brothers to visit you in advance and finish the arrangements for the generous gift you had promised. Then it will be ready as a generous gift and not as one grudgingly given.
Thank you.
2 Corinthians 9, 8-11, the Message version. God can pour on the blessings in astonishing ways so that you are ready for anything and everything, more than just ready to do what needs to be done. As one psalmist puts it, he throws caution to the winds, giving to the needy in reckless abandon. His right living, right giving ways never run out, never wear out. This most generous God, who gives seed to the farmer that becomes bread for your meals, is more than extravagant with you. He gives you something you can then give away, which grows into full-formed lives, robust in God, wealthy in every way, so that you can be generous in every way, producing with us great praise to God.
Thank you. How's about that? He throws caution to the winds, given to the needy in reckless abandon. His right living, right giving ways never run out and never wear out. Imagine living a life of generosity like that. Well, there's been a few times God has spoken to me, and there's been a thought just popped into my head. Ollie, you know that money you've been saving, watching it pile up a bit? And I'll be like, yes, I do. Well, give it to that, whatever it happens to be, that fundraiser over there. And I'd say, no. That is for the shiny new side steps that I've been looking for my disco outside. I couldn't possibly give that away. That wasn't God. That was just my own mind playing tricks on me. But then it comes back, you know it's me, do it. But again, no, I didn't hear that. It's just my own mind. And then it's Ali. And then I'll go and I'll say to Gail, I just had this thought. And explain to her how it couldn't possibly have been from God and it was all just in my head. But Gail has this uncanny knack of saying something without saying anything at all. Jason used to say that Gail had a loud face. No words would come from her mouth, but her facial expressions would have the conversation with you. So this was another one of those situations. So after the consultation with Gail's facial expressions, some prayer and a change in my attitude, I'd agree to do whatever God had asked me to do with the money in the first place. Guys, it's just easier to say yes in the start and give it away than go through all that. But I know lots of you will have stories where God has asked you to give to something, but you'll have been quicker to give than me, with the right attitude and done it straight away. There's lots of stories of people I know having given away someone money as God has asked them, and within a day or two, or even within an hour, have received back the same amount or more from somewhere they weren't expecting. Sometimes it's simply a call to obedience, like a testing. God's checking to see if you're listening. God will bless a joyful giver. And one thing I want to add here is this is a generous church. We here at the church gives as much as we can, as often as we can, and that's not limited to money. If you're listening to me this morning, you're thinking it's all about money and I don't have any. It's not. And I want to really emphasize that fact. It's not all about the money or the amount. We need money to do the works. That's just the way it is. There's no denying that fact. But it's your heart, it's your attitude that God is concerned with. Whether you can give a £5, £50, 500, 5,000. That's not the point. It's like the story of the poor widow in Luke 21, verses 1 to 4. The widow's offering. Then Jesus looked up and saw the rich putting in their gifts into the treasury, and he saw a poor widow put in 2 small copper coins. Truly I tell you, he said, this poor widow hath put more in than all the others, for they all contributed out of their surplus, but she offered out of poverty, has put in all she had to live on. Equal sacrifice, not equal giving, as Jason used to say. VCD is all about having a generous heart. If it's time you have, give it generously. Even simply being present. Turn up. Be part of a community group. Get to know your VCD family sitting on those seats beside you, all around. You will give her yourselves, of course. You will. But my goodness, what you will get in return will be so, so much more. If it's conversation you have, the gift of the gab, there's quite a few out there, I know. Use it. Use it generously. That gift that God has given to you, the gift of the gab, use it generously to encourage and build people up, not pull people down. Does that make sense? Yeah? Giving of your time. Generosity is at the core of the Vineyard movement and the heart of VCD. If you don't have a generous heart and you're unwilling to have the Father change your heart and mind towards His heart, a generous heart, a soft heart, you will not flourish or thrive. Matthew 6, 1 to 4, giving to the needy. Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven. So when you give to the needy, do not announce it with trumpets, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and on the streets, to be honoured by others. Truly I tell you, they have received the reward in full. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. Then your Father, who sees what you've done in secret, will reward you. It's back to the whole praying about your giving weekly. Never mind just praying about your giving to OFC. Pray about your weekly giving to the mission of VCD, to the mission to spread the good news here, near and far. Spend some time in prayer. See what God does. See where He leads you. Treasures in heaven. Matthew 6:19-21. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moth and vermin destroy and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven where moths and vermin do not destroy and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Where you're spending your money is where your heart is. Simple. With OFC, this is an invitation to invest, not just in the here and now and the future of Dungan, but also to invest in the treasures of heaven. Not only will you be investing in something that cannot be taken from you, but you're also opening up opportunities for the kingdom to break through here and now in the places close to us, to those same people who are on the margins. By giving generously to OFC, you're investing in the community here in Dungannon, investing in those people that I spoke about at the beginning, the least, the lost, the widow, the orphan, the hungry, the prisoner, the addicted, the lonely. You will be investing in the future of Dungannon with the change of focus of the compassion ministry here at VCD. You can invest in Dungannon, continuing to make it a great place to grow up in and a great place to grow old in for everyone in the community. God is moving. We can see it, we can feel it. Look what's happened over the past year. Here, near and far, people are searching for the truth, not their own truth anymore. They're searching for the truth. The truth. God can do it all by Himself, don't get me wrong. He doesn't need us, but the big news is He wants us to participate in what He's doing. We all get to play. As it says in the Vineyard movement, we all get to play. Could I encourage you? Encourage you to say yes to His invitation. Not mine, not VCD's, but His invitation to give to OFC and His mission here in Dungannon. There's so many ways to give, as mentioned before, and it's not just money, it can be time. Give time to OFC with the different events. Give time to your brother and sister in Christ. Have a conversation with them. On to the next slide, please, Tom. Have a conversation with those on the margins, those who society say are unworthy of your time and your effort. Spend time in prayer, generously, abundantly. See what happens. Invest prayer into Dungannon. See what happens. Invest prayer into OFC and the possibilities of heaven breaking in when those celebration hampers go out into the homes of those who receive them. God hears the prayers of His people. Not only hears them, but He acts on them. Give of yourself and give generously. Be present. Being in a room with others is a gift to them. God can't use you to talk to someone if you're not there. I ask the band to come back up. You are invited to invest through whatever way you can. Whatever you choose to do, invest generously.
Thanks for listening to this message. For more information on what's happening in the life of our church, visit vineyarddungannon.co.uk.